Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Semir from Oceans of Slumber, amongst other bands, but perhaps the one that people will know you the best is from Oceans of Slumber, to talk about 5 bass players that influenced your playing style or that influenced your career or that perhaps got you going and made you choose the bass instead of something else. You could have perhaps been.
Oh yeah, I wish I was a drummer, but it's quite a hard instrument to play. But the bass was it wasn't even a starting point. It was the only instrument that I couldn't able to find someone to play for. And then I had guitar player friends, but the bass players was quite hard. So next thing I know, I found Ibanez, very cheap Ibanez bass guitar, and then I never actually paid it. I just got the bass and then I started to learn how to play it at home. The next thing you know, oh, I'm a bass player now. That's pretty
No,
much
no.
what I
Did you actually take some classes, or you were like self-taught?
did. Everything is self-taught. Like getting a class in Turkey, it's expensive as hell, man.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
That's quite the. How long did it take you? I need to ask you this. Like, how long did it take you from the moment you bought that cheap bass to the moment that you felt, okay, you know what, I can play some tunes?
6 weeks.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
Really?
6 weeks, yeah. I'm not joking. Because around that time, like when you first hold your instrument, that excitement is like something else. You get the instrument, you're like, I was 14, and then I wanted to play Nirvana because that was so easy bass lines, and I learned how to play "Come As You Are" by ear. I said, and then I remember telling myself, if I can learn this, I can play everything. I'm not kidding, man. And then, but the thing is, of course, by then I don't know who that is, like how the bass lines are. I already know the bands and stuff. And then I said, oh, bass is easy, dude. Like I learned my first Metallica song. I said, this is ridiculously difficult. And then I started like force myself to learn difficult like songs. That's what happened.
Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, but it's quite impressive. 6 weeks. That's really impressive to think
Yeah.
from like no lessons, no nothing, just you on your own.
Mhm.
I mean, perhaps one of the reasons why you learned so fast is I'm assuming you didn't have a PlayStation.
Oh, then I didn't have not even a Nintendo. Like I had nothing, man. I just had the base, and then like when I got the base, though, the
So
problem
how
was
did you learn? Like, did you go? I'm assuming internet. Perhaps did you even have internet?
no, 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 not at all. So that's what I actually posted about a few days ago. I had a few bass players of mine send me a message. Having an internet like around that time, like 15, 20 years ago, quite expensive in Turkey, places like that. So we have internet cafes. So like the what I did was it's like a $1 an hour. So I went there and then do you remember the old school WinZap, like the yellow soundtrack? So, my list was so simple. It was from uh, Metallica, Death, At the Gates, and then like bunch of bands I was able to find. And then the beginning of the Google, you cannot find a lot of tabs. So what I did was I went to the blogs, which I still love those blogs because those are like some of them actually real cool. And then I messaged the guys. I told them, hey man, I just bought a bass. I don't even know what tuning is. Can you just send me to learn the songs? And then this guy wrote it by numbers. I'm not kidding, man. He just said like 1, 2, 3, 4 for the string names, and then he just said these are the numbers of this track. And then the funny thing is that song, actually the first song that I learned from that style was Arch Enemy. I still remember like yesterday because I wanted to learn My Apocalypse, the track,
Yeah.
and then the song was so simple, dude. It was the most simple bass song I learned ever. I think that's like the easiest song for them, maybe. So when I learned the song, I said, "This is it. This is how we learn how to play bass." But but like throughout the months, of course, like the years, I started to see, oh, there's a tuning, there's a drop tuning, there's like, oh, it's changing, and then there's pedals, and then there's fretless. Yeah, it's like you made it up. Because I already started playing music when I was in middle school. Like I had a band, like we were playing rock songs. I was also a singer. So and then I was just looking at what guitar players doing, and I just followed them. And then the next thing you know, oh, that's not that hard. But of course, around that time, I don't know what bass lines are, how to do a groove or anything. It was just that ear that I would just keep going at, and it was making sense. Yeah.
When I first got into metal, I had a friend of mine. I don't know how to play any instrument, but I have a friend of mine who had a guitar and he had a bass. And
Okay.
sometimes he would come over to my house with his 2 amps and the guitar and the bass, just for us to make noise. Just like he didn't know how to play either, right? Like he had these two, the guitar and bass, and like you said, there was no internet, so there was no way for you to kind of like being self-taught was nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Most of the people at that time would learn from somebody who knew how to play a little bit, and they would hang out with that person and kind of learn a little bit from that person. That's kind of how people would get started. But this guy couldn't play if his life depended on it, and neither could I. So he would come over, he would play the guitar, and I would play on the bass. And I always thought, man, when I listen to metal songs, I never hear the bass. So
Yeah.
maybe the bass player is just kind of there, like doing whatever. Like they put the volume so low on the amp of the bass player that he's
Yeah.
just kind of like, even I can do it. Like I could be there, just like whatever. That was like the way my brain would process it. Like looking back now, how stupid is that? But as a kid, you're like, wow, maybe I can play the bass. All I have to do is, touch it a few times.
I mean, to be honest, I'm a very realistic guy. So 80%, maybe 85% of the metal genre, when I was growing up, bass is there until it's not there. Like if it's not there, it's terrible. But when it's there, it doesn't have to be that much of a show off, unless you really want to show off, and then it become huge. But the low is always there. Like for instance, like Incubus, like Incubus songs are very vibey, and then like if there's no bass, their songs are gonna be like, but
Yeah.
and then their bass line is not that like crazy difficult either. It just makes the vibe in like perfectly, and I like that a lot. And then of course I always thought that I can just play totally different song in a different song, and I try that it doesn't work.
I always felt like the bass player was there just as a hype man. Do you know what I
I
mean?
know
Like the bass player is like the Flavor Flav of the metal bands. They're
it's
there
very
with the bass like really low, tapping on the bass, like grooving back and forth. Like Robert Trujillo, like that kind of style. But like the volume is like to one.
yeah.
That's what I thought. Like, oh, I can be a bass player on a band. I can just like look cool with my hat backwards and have volume on one. But that's me when I was 12.
I mean, yeah, it makes total sense around that time. It's funny, man.
This is hilarious. All right, but we're here to talk about your 5 most influential bass players that really dictated who you've became or who you are right now as a bass player. And at number 5, you have Cliff Burton from Metallica. What
Yeah.
about Cliff made him
So
an icon for you?
first of all, like I'm not gonna lie, I never was a huge fan for Metallica because of I guess where I was. Like I'm a huge fan for Creator. So like my entire thrash metal speed was started with them, like German metal. And then when I heard Creator and I said, this is just what I want to do so bad. It was just so fast. And then there was so much anger and hate. So Metallica, when I heard the first album was a Right Lightning and then the Kill 'Em All. And then when I heard the Kill 'Em All, I was at Internet Cafe. I still remember like it was like 11 at night and I was playing FIFA, which is funny. And then I was like, we used to have a lot of tournaments at the Internet cafes, like FIFA tournaments, like after the cafes shut down. And then they played it in a speaker, like Kill 'Em All. And then, dude, I lost my mind, man. Like I said, I was like 14 years old, 15 years old. And then I asked the guy, the owner of the place, he turned out to be a rock guy, And he says, this is Metallica, whatever. This album came out like 1,000 years ago. I told him, what? And then he said, yeah, just search the bass player. He's like a phenomenal guy. And then I found Cliff Burton. I found some of his old videos, but this is before YouTube, Vimeo, nothing. So I was able to, third party videos that we used to be able to find. So I found his solo, and then I couldn't believe my eyes. Bass players can do that. It was just shredding the entire thing. And I'm a huge fan for James Hetfield. And then when I saw James Hetfield just saying Cliff, and then like people are like losing their mind, and then they started mosh pitting for Cliff, And then after I heard his story, like how he died and stuff, and how Metallica changed his town to their town for the Cliff, it really got into me. It just said it's a bass player, and the entire band is based around the bass player. And then I always believed, and I still do, if he didn't pass away, I think he will totally become a bass soloist. Like he will probably go on to like a solo bass style albums, and then And he was.
Let me ask you this about Cliff. Do you feel like he played the bass the way a guitar player plays the guitar? Because he played the bass completely different.
Yeah, I think he started with shredding on bass, which is a guitar player shredding when you think about it. Because throughout the years, there's a lot of bass players changed the shredding idea on bass, but the Cliff was doing straight up. Not, I think he was sweeping some songs, but I don't know. But he was mostly like shredding, like really fast, and he had a lot of wah pedal and a little bit of distortion tone. And I still remember some of the videos that I was watching. To be honest with you, some notes weren't that clear because of the video quality. But like throughout the time, let's say he didn't pass away, and we have 4K quality cameras, we would understand him way better. And I think
imagine how different "And Justice for All" would have been if he was around.
I always imagined that like if he continued, Metallica would never be able to go slower. I always believed that, man, because I always thought because he was the main guy of like speed, like he was constantly headbanging, constantly moving, like it was just so much energy. And of course he was in his 20s. You never know what's going to happen in 30s, 40s, but
yeah, I think it's hard to say, but I think I don't know. The question is really would become is would Metallica continue down the road that they like? Would Metallica become what they are right now, or would he end up leaving Metallica because what they've became is not what he wanted them to be? Those are the questions we'll never know the answer. But it's really the things that I think about when I think of Cliff Burton.
I always think about this though. If one day, let's say, Metallica members show up to the Cliff and the Cliff survive, right? And then they tell him, hey man, like for the next album, we want to go this anymore. Like we want to go slower. I have a feeling he would say, oh, we're not doing that. I always because I used to watch his videos. He was like watching people do mosh pitting, and he was enjoying. You can see from his eyes, and I know that feeling very well when I see that happening. I feel like that's one of those guys like chosen. Like I want people to like destroy each other, and he loved that. And then I think it would just. It seems like James really trusted him. Like I always felt that a lot. Like he had like 100% trust over him as a bass player, as a musician. And to be honest, one of the main reasons why I like fell in love with the guy as a bass player, his high self-esteem, dude. Like he was like a perfect showman. It was like I own the stage now. That I love that feeling when I see a musician do that because I mean you go to gazillion shows like when the shows are happening. When you see a person like on the stage, not only playing but also like controlling everything, you just want to worship the guy. I love that feeling, man. Like because it makes you feel the vibe. Because in the end, it's entertaining, yeah. So
I agree with you on that. I agree with like you could be a great guitar player, bass player, drummer, whatever, frontman, lead singer, whatever the case might be. But if you don't have that stage presence, that you control everything that is happening, that you not just controlling the things that you're impacting, but how people perceive you, it kind of falls flat. Like the one thing is for me to listen to you as far as the studio CD, which is fine because you're doing your thing. But then when I go see you, if you don't come out and you don't have that gusto, that aura to you, it kind of like it was kind of okay. Like you kind of walk away from the show feeling like it was all right.
So one time, Canada, the Protesta Hero, they came to my town. And I've been a huge fan for the vocalist, like since the MySpace times. And then Protesta Hero, like
you're really going back in the vault with MySpace now, like.
Oh, yeah, like
internet cafes and now MySpace.
Oh, that was my entire life, man. And then they came to town, and then I went to see them. I always thought they were be one of those like technical like boring band, like kind of like doing that all the time. Dude, the singer is hilarious, man. Like I just couldn't stop watching the dude. They had to stop the show because of some technical difficulty. He goes like this. I know most of you come here because you don't believe me. My voice is that good. and then he goes like this. Let's try it. And he started like a piano hop. And he's like start doing it. I told him this is and he was owning the stage. Like he was owning everything. And when I see that on vocalists, it just like blows my mind because like I love Megadeth, right? But I can never enjoy Megadeth live, man. Like I can never feel anything at the shows. It's just do something, do something.
I've seen Megadeth plenty of times live, and I always walk away feeling like, yeah, it was a good show, but yeah, you know, I can listen to the CD. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
like zero
I
mistake
felt the
happened in the
same
show.
thing. I felt the same thing about Disturbed. I saw Disturbed a couple of years ago,
Okay.
and I felt that, you know, the frontman, great voice, but on stage was just like, you know what I mean? Like, he was singing, but you know,
It
like
was,
you know, it's not like Bruce Dickinson like jumping around
oh,
and
no,
going
yeah.
absolutely nuts. Like and I think like Cliff had kind of that from the videos that I've seen of him live. Man, even the way he would look at the audience when he was playing, he would have this face. He would look at the holy shit. If you're in that front row and you're not headbanging, you better start soon because
Oh, yeah.
his eyes are like laser beams. You know.
I love that power, dude. As a bass player, when you see a bass player does that, I love that. Like, there's especially in our time right now, there's intense amount of shredders on bass, and especially technical death metal bands or technical black metal bands or whatever, they all have intensely like some high level past bass players right now. And then when you see them, you said, "Oh, holy shit, this is amazing! This is YouTube videos." Yeah? And then when you go to show, my dude is just this for like 17 minutes. Dude, do something, man. Please, I beg you. Like, do this. You know, like you don't know. Maybe we're not gonna play shows again. Like coronavirus happened. It's a perfect. It's like enjoy your moments, man. You don't have to just do this all the time. And then that's one of the main reasons when I heard like that my first time ever. I was 15 years old, and then I immediately worshiped Chuck. Like I said, this is not possible. How is this guy wrote this album? Like past time. You know, I always thought that album will come out tomorrow, his last album, and we will say, "Holy shit!" You know, when I heard the album, bass just took me away, man. Like Secret Crusher, that the first time I heard that track, and then they immediately become my first favorite American metal band, and they still are because that's not possible to do that without getting any kind of recommendation for anybody. No internet, no any bands that can do that kind of stuff. Technicality and the speed changes between the songs are so weird. And then I always feel like he never even used a metronome, like just because he was feeling the vibe. And then when I heard that album, dude, I said this has to be like one of those, like boring. And I found the videos that how Chuck is controlling the stage. That shit is difficult, dude. He was doing a lot of difficult stuff with like blowing people's mind because when you feel it from your heart, doesn't matter what you're playing. To be honest, it's just
Yeah, yeah.
you get the energy out. You
I
know.
hear you. I hear you. At number four, you have an interesting one. You have Geddy Lee of
Oh,
Rush, the great Canadian Rush. I mean, I'm gonna own it right now. I'm not a fan of the band.
really?
And, yeah, and I think I'm gonna get my citizenship revoked, and they're gonna take away my passport because I don't know. I'm not a really a prog guy, and for me like Rush doesn't hit the spot, but I can appreciate the quality of the musicianship. It's just not my thing. But Geddy Lee, where did Geddy Lee come in your life?
Signals. When I heard Signals, the album, I said, "This is it. This is how what bass players should do." And then I watched the videos and I saw what he's doing. My dude was just playing everything, like every fucking thing, man. Just give him a drum. He was gonna play drums, and then he was kind of showman because he didn't have a lot of free hands to do anything else. But and then when he was doing it, I said, "Holy fuck!" And then I found The Cure at the same time, and I saw that Geddy Lee is doing like The Cure used to do that the keyboard thing with the bass, and then I said, "Holy fuck, man! Like, can you do that?" And it was prog, and it's not even easy. And I heard the entire albums, and the Signals was the first one and then it was constantly playing in. I had a girlfriend in high school. She used to like Rush, and then when she gave it to me, the MP3 tracks, and I was constantly listening. Of course, it's prog, and it's very sad to say because of what happened the past year, like the drummer and stuff, passed away. It's just I never got into the band that much because of the vocals. Other than that, I always listen to everything else because that high pitches never got into me. Like it was so much like a King Crimson. I like Crimson. Like I saw you share the pictures today. It's like I love that kind of stuff. But that high pitch, yeah, like that, I just can't get into that. Like I don't know, man. It's so weird because I love Judas Priest, right? And then I love Iron Maiden. I worship them, and then uh, but when it comes to the
So you would
community,
prefer Rush to do just instrumental?
huh?
You would prefer Rush to be just instrumental.
Oh yeah, all night long. Yeah, I will listen to that all day long. Yeah, it's perfect because it's so catchy. It's not boring prog, and then you can't. I don't know. I think most of the people feel that way. Even the people who just listen to music. When you feel the energy through the song, you really don't have to hear the vocals some days. You can just hear the vibe from the background, and then it can be speed metal or like all the melodic death metals that we like. It's most of the times guitar is what carries the song, unless they have an incredible drummer and they changes the entire fucking thing, and you just blow your mind.
So at number 3, you have Evan Brewer from
Oh
the
yeah.
Faceless.
So Evan is my biggest bass crush ever, and then
Have you
yeah,
have you met the guy?
they twice. Oh yeah, it was incredible. So Evan, uh,
He's got a
he played.
restraining order against you.
Oh, dude, he only had like few years of each other. Like he's young,
Yeah,
and
he's a
then
young dude.
so 11 years ago, he posted a video on YouTube or Venmo. I don't remember anymore. It was one of those like Sony Ericsson quality camera that it was so bad. But he posted a video, and he was just shredding the bass like no one else I ever seen. It was like just slap tapping. It's just like everything combined, and he was making incredible like emotional melodies. That's one of the main reasons like on the technical death metal bands genre. When I got into it, if emotional part of it disappears, I'm gone. I just cannot listen to it anymore. And then Evan, he played in Faceless. Everyone knows him, and he created that A&P-REACTS, the band. He left that band too. In 2012, which is 1 year later or 2 years later, he did that YouTube video because the video blew up. It's like thousands of views, and then he released a bass solo album, and he's got only two bass solos album, unfortunately. But bass solos album are like vibey synthesizer with incredible drums and bass, pretty much a melody following you. And if you want to feel like chill music and bass, the entire thing is a bass. I highly recommend it, man. The guy is like he's got something else. I can hear entire of like his entire life is practice, but also so much heart and emotion. And then when I met him Faceless, I think Faceless Tour and then Enteos. And then I immediately hugged him. I told him I'm a huge fan. And he goes like, this dude, whenever you need it, we can talk about it, because I wanted to get a bass lesson from him. And then I think he got a kid, he got busy, and he disappeared from the music for years. And he barely like came back like 6 months ago or something. But yeah, but I like that how humble the dude is. He's most likely one of the top bass player in the world, but he's never one of those like show off guy. I like that feeling, man. At least very humble. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting story. It's nice at least you got to meet the guy, because it's not always that we get to meet two things. It's not always we get to meet our heroes, and it's not always our heroes turn out to be who we think that they are. Sometimes, like I know probably has happened to you. I know it's happened to me, where like I grew up idolizing a certain band member or a certain band, and then I've had a chance to meet the band either for an interview or at a show or through somebody else that I know. And then they come across as complete douchebags, and you're like, "Wow, now I don't know if I can listen to them anymore." You know what I mean? Like it just ruined my experience. So, not always the people that you idolize turn out to be the way you had pictured him in your mind. So it's really cool that you met him, and he was that kind of down to earth kind of dude.
Oh, dude. And then the cool thing is like when you said about the meeting people, about 8 years ago, I met with In Flames guys for the first time. And then I'm sure they are tired of meeting people. Yeah, they are cold. Bjorn was so cool, the guitar player, and Anders was pretty much like, oh, don't come to me or whatever. And then when in that moment, most of the people will say, hey man, like I don't like this band anymore, but I fucking love In Flames. So like I'm not just gonna hate the band because when you start touring and you're playing every day and you don't want to like get along with people all the time, and In Flames 1990s, man. And like when that happened, and then I had a friend the next week. We went to Children of Bottom show. Alexi used to have a lot of like bad calls. Like they used to call him, this guy's impossible to talk to. It's like a terrible person, whatever. And then I tell him, man, believe me, when you just become a object to people, you don't want to like talk with everyone. Because I remember in 2005, remember when they did that Stockholm live show? Children of Bottom had a like Mustang on the stage. It was incredible live show. Alex, I think everyone was like trying to touch Alex's part of body. That's a dude, man. Like, don't try to like touch him like he's trying to play guitar. And then throughout the years, I love reading interviews so much. So I was able to find Willy Wallow's interview. He was saying something about at some point I become a sexual object. People didn't even see me as a person, which is kind of a cute problem when you think about it. Like everyone wants to be,
Yeah, it's perhaps a good problem for you, but not for him.
Oh yeah. See, like you're saying it, and then he said, but it's impossible to talk with the people because they all want to be, like upon around you.
Yeah.
So, and then when I said, oh, that's understandable, and I missed him's last tour. I'm a huge him fan, and then when I missed it, I cried, man. I always love Willy Wallow. When I went to Finland, we saw a bar. He had like a special like table just for Willy Wallow. That's fucking cool as block, man.
Yeah. Last time I was there, I went to Alexi's bar. He has his own bar. Yeah. So we actually got permission to go into the Children of Bodom room. There's like a special room. So Asim from Wintersun, he made a few phone calls. He got on the horn with some people that he knew, and we got permission to go in there, take pictures and chill. So we got to sit there and chill and take pictures. It was amazing. It was sick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody gets to go into that room, right? So to be able to do that was really cool. And I agree with you. Like, I've met guys during interviews, during tours and stuff like that people sometimes have said, oh, these guys are really difficult, or they're really not nice people or whatever. And then you meet them and you're like, wow, they're nothing like what people paint them to be. And I think a lot of the times is like you said, I think some of the fans don't understand everything that goes on when a band is on tour, when a band is on the road, and they see you. Sometimes you're coming off the tour bus and they ask for a picture, and you're like, oh, not now, I don't have time. And people are like, oh, what a fucking jackass. Well, maybe the guy's got like a sound check or something. I mean, you're not there. You're judging the book by its cover, right? So these guys, they don't have to be on all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're people just like you and me. We all have bad days. So I think sometimes that kind of stuff is a little bit unfair. But at the same time, it comes with a territory, right? It's kind of hard for you to kind of separate the two. It's the way it is. But there's some people that are difficult, and there are those people. But overall, I think we have to always give people the benefit of the doubt. And I think sometimes people don't. When like you said, when you meet somebody, the person who's meeting that performer, that artist, they think it's like, oh, I'm meeting you. Yeah, but that guy is like, he had like 100 people like you come to him throughout that day. It's like, for you, that's the first experience that you're having. For him, it's like number 100. So you got to keep things in mind from that perspective. I think that's one of the reasons probably why there's so much of this VIP stuff now. I mean, it's a way for bands to make more revenue, but it's also a way for fans to meet the bands in a controlled setting, and you not have to deal with, people outside of the venue and all sorts of craziness.
Yeah, it's quite expensive though. Some of the VIP like $7,500 or something
I
like
know. I honestly, I can't even rational. I said this to who did I say this to? I can't remember who I was talking to. But the most expensive VIP that I ever paid for, I've only ever paid for one VIP, and that was Insomnium, and it was like $50. So I was like, really? Are you kidding me? $50? I get to meet all the guys and take some pictures and get some autographs? I'm sold. And then it was included with the ticket for the concert. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, that's good.
That was the Oceans of Slumber tour, the last tour that the bands did together here in Toronto. It was a great show, great evening. So yeah, so that's the most I've ever paid for VIP. Like now I don't, like honestly, now I don't have to pay because when I'm going to a show, I'm probably there to do interviews and stuff like that. So I end up meeting everybody anyways. But some of the prices are ridiculous, like $750, $1,000. It's just ridiculous. But anyways, sorry.
One of the most expensive show that I've been to in the last few years was a Machine Head, and I still don't forget that. The tickets were ridiculously high. The t-shirts were $45 or something, and I still don't forget it, man. It was one of the most expensive tour, Machine Head.
I saw them this year. They were one of the last shows before the coronavirus. I saw them in January. Honestly, I don't know how much the tickets were because I was on the guest list for the show. But the t-shirts here in Canada, you're not going to find much cheaper than $50. That's your average price. I mean, depending on the venue, depending on the band, Like this one that I have from Judas Priest, that was $50. I bought it at the show when I saw them here a couple of years back. So you're looking at, normally it's between 35 to 50, depending on the band, depending on the venue, like the size of the band. So yeah, it's pricey. It's pricey.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is pricey. But anyways, the next guy on your list is Billy Sheehan of Mr. Big, Sons of Apollo. I mean, this guy's done everything. I mean, like his resume is it's huge. I mean, like you need an encyclopedia to go through his resume.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, he's like, how old is he? 50? No, he born in 50s. He's up there. So Billy Sheehan was the next bass player that I found, and I was like 16 years old, and I heard Mr. Big and Sons of Apollo. I mean, the Vinyl Dogs and all that came later, but he had a lot of bass solos, and then when I saw the videos, he wasn't using a pick; he was just going direct finger. And it was just
something that's important for you. What do you prefer?
Me, I play with the pick mainly, and then another reason that I started playing with pick because I like the dynamics a lot. And then I also like to play like indie and rock stuff on the side, and I do finger on that one. But when it comes to the speed and all that, I like using pick so I can go as fast as I can. But one of the main reasons, to be honest, when I realized pick was comforting me, I could just focus on my left hand. So I just started to get better at the timing and everything else on the left hand instead of focusing on the finger. I mean, I wish I had enough time or money to go like take lessons to go finger back in the day, so I could have had like good start point. But after some point I realized I'm actually good at picking, so might as well go with picking. And for a moment, most people was really against picking, and then it was weird because most of those people who's against picking, their favorite band's bassist use pick. Yeah. And then, but Billy Sheehan was like, oh, dude, he was magnificent. Like when I watched his videos, he was just too fast. And then there's this famous YouTube video, Billy Sheehan best bass solo or whatever. You remember like 70s and 80s, I guess, when bass players owns the arenas, and he was just walking on the stage, thousands of people, and he was in the middle of the spotlight. It was just shredding. He's a bass player, dude. And then Billy Sheehan is very tall. When I met him, I felt like a hobbit. Like he was giant. And then when a big guy like this shows up with the 4-string and then shredding every string ever existed, fucking every note. And then when I watched that video, I said, "This is ridiculous. How can you do this? Like this should be illegal." I fucking like. And then I started following everything he did, bass solos, Mr. Big Style, all that stuff. Oh man, he blew my mind.
How was it meeting the guy? Did you get to ask him any tips or anything like that?
It was great. Like when I met him at the NAMM, he turned out to be the most, like so nice, man. He's Billy Sheehan. He's most likely the best 2 bass player in the world, right? And then I met him. He's got a little line, like 10 people. For me, it should be like 1,000, but So he was at his table for strings. He's using, I forgot his brand now, but he was there, and then I just want to take a picture with him and like say hi. And then he heard my accent, dude, and he goes like this, "Are you Turkish?" So what? And then he goes, "I'm a huge fan for there's this rock star. She's very popular in Turkey. Her name is Şebnem, and then everyone knows her. She's like the huge voice." And then he goes, "Oh, I used to like play with her, hang out with her a lot." I told him, "Don't tell me this now." And he said, "What?" I told him, "Man, you're gonna make me cry." And he goes, "Yeah, I used to hang out in Istanbul." And I told him, "Dude, why are you saying that now? Like you're blowing my mind." And then I told him I play for Oceans. I hit a badge for ESP guitar, so he kind of asked me like, "How is ESP and all that stuff? Do you like it?" I told him, "Yeah." And then he goes, I hit it at the Gates t-shirt, and then he goes like this. I actually quite love the t-shirt. I haven't seen anyone wearing that band for a while. I tell him, "Yeah, they're making a lot of mistakes." And he goes like this. "Oh yeah, the people forgot the good stuff." Because entire NAMM, I haven't seen a single like Swedish or Norwegian or Finnish metal band t-shirt. And nobody was wearing it. Mostly like, modern gent stuff, like that kind of shirts. And I was getting so many yells. It was so cool. Like people are saying, "At the gates, at the gates." It was kind of nice. And I figured nobody will wear that shirt because, it was just all of us there. When I met the Ola at the same like 5 minutes from each other to Billy Sheehan, he saw the t-shirt, he immediately gave me a hug. It was so cool, guy too. And then Billy Sheehan, when we took a picture, he goes, I asked him, "So this is kind of dramatic, but is there any way to get a lesson from you?" And he said it's possible. It just depends on the budget. And I didn't want to ask. and I didn't want to ask because I'm sure it was like some really up there. And then
you knew it was out of your reach.
Oh, I never stop asking, man. I always jump. Like if I can find a guy, if I ever met John Myung from Dream Theater, and he never speaks either. And so like I will tell him, hey man, like I got $400. Can we do less than that?
What can you do for me?
Yeah, like just show me one song that how you write in Dream Theater, and I'll just go from there. So because for a long time, and still is like he's my top 10, John Myung, and I was able to see Dream Theater only once. It's very boring, the show, but the thing is, yeah, it's like a union library, you know, and then everyone is watching you and waiting for you to make mistake. It's so stupid, dude. Like I saw a bunch of people. It was 1,000 people, and 100 people on the front, right? And I'm looking at people. I love watching people at the shows. Like their reaction is just so fun to me. And then they're looking at Jumper sheets and hand like this. They're not even watching like what's going on, you know. And I said, this is how Dream Theater is, man. They're just waiting for the dude to make mistake, and they know he's not gonna make mistakes. There's John Petrucci, yeah, and then there's Joe, and then dude, because it's funny because like Dream Theater, Opeth, yeah, and I worship Opeth. I love Opeth, and when I watch Opeth, it's fun. Like it's a fun show. He's very reactive with people. He makes people cool jokes. He actually moves a bit, you know. And for me, there's a show from back in 2010. Mikhail jumps on Dream Theater in a show, and then he screams over the song, and their comments are ridiculous. That this is how Dream Theater should have been. All the screams and stuff. But yeah, John Myung and Billy Sheehan was always in the same level for me because I always want to see a battle like between two because Billy Sheehan is an incredible showman. Like the guy can own the entire stage. He's 6 foot tall, and then good luck trying to like look down on him. You know, like he will destroy it. Like he looks like a Dark Soul character or something. And then he's got the longest hair still. You know, and then I watch Winery Dogs with the Mike Portnoy project that he's got. Dude, he's got so many empty spots. He was just shredding for 6 minutes. And then I just love the main thing that I actually like about Billy Sheehan because of improvising. He improvised like everything, and I love that stuff a lot. And he still practices, and also he's got a black cat. That's another one, man.
I know the cat thing is big with you.
Oh, huge, man. That's my everything. I never not have a cat in my life.
I know. You're really into cats. I don't think I know anybody who's as much into cats as you are.
Oh, dude,
you're gonna be you're not gonna be an old cat lady, but you're gonna be an old cat dude.
Oh, dude. So the main reason why it started, which is so Turkey is very famous with cats. There's actually a movie on Netflix called Geddy, which is cat in Turkish. So back in Ottoman Empire, a lot of ships were coming to Turkey because Istanbul is between Middle East and Europe, and they used to bring a lot of cats in the ships, and you know the cats love intercourse. So the next thing you know, entire town owned by cats, and then this is 500, 600 years, dude. So every neighborhood that we have at least have 100 cats. So when you're a little kid, you go to school like 6 a.m. in the morning, and then you're passing through the cats. So what's up, and then you play with them. And then they follow you, the bus or whatever. And then when I get into all that like love and like cat love, I'm like 5 years old, 6 years old. The next thing you know, oh, where's the cat? If I don't see a cat, I feel like it's empty. I just like that feeling. Oh yeah, man.
Oh, we're learning a lot about you today.
Oh, thank you, man. I mean, I tried with dogs before. To be honest, like I tried dogs, dude. I just never got into it that 24/7 love me thing. It's just like love me, take me out, do all that. But for cats, I used to leave my cat for 7 days at home. Food, water, that's all they need, man. And you come back and they look at you, what's up, and that's it. That's just so good, man.
I'm telling you, I'm more of a bird guy, and the birds are a lot like the dogs.
Really?
Some of them, depending on which type. Like I have budgies, they're more like cats. It's like, as long as you feed me, we like, yeah, we see you there. You're cool. We're cool. Let's keep our distance. But then my little parrot, he's more like a dog. He wants to be with us like all the time. He wants us to pet him. He wants us to be around him. It's draining.
Oh, dude, I didn't know. I know that I watched some of the videos that you're posting. He's a cute as bird, man. It's like a flying cat to me.
Yeah, he's cool. He talks and he's really cool. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked. At number one, we're finally at number one, and it's Victor Wooten. I'm going to be honest with you. This one was a surprise to me because I'm going to be completely honest here. I had never heard the name. So yeah, why haven't I heard the name? I actually went on Google to find out like who's Victor. Like I need to know who Victor is. It's like Rolling Stone ranked him one of the top 10 all-time bass players. I mean, that's huge.
He's most likely the bass player ever lived. Like yeah.
Like, what can you tell me? Like, for those that are watching the video and like myself included, that don't know much about him, what can you tell us about him? Like, what makes him such a great bass player?
So the Victor Wooten, he's an old guy, but he had like intense amount of solo albums, and then I believe he's from Nashville. I think so, and he's one of those guys. He became the best bass player level in the world, but he still goes on the show, regular shirt, jeans. That's all I can say, man. Most humble looking guy, right? He wrote a book about bass, and then there was a story. He's got really good stories in his head. That's what I like. He said how to learn playing an instrument. Apparently, there's this ghost shows up in his room in the book. This is his stuff. And then he tells him, his name is Michael, I think. He said, I want to learn how to play music. Show me the notes. And he goes, there's more things to learn before notes. And then main thing that Victor Wooten has that taught me was the groove. That's all his thing, dude. It says, follow the grooves. Grooves, the groove. The note will find you. And then he's one of those guys you probably saw a lot meme about that. There's never a wrong notes. You're always half note away from your right note or whatever. And then this guy has been playing with 4-string, which is like he's destroying every bass player ever existed. But he never shows up, and his groove is just something else. And a live video. There's a video from the video called The Lesson. If you ever have a time, watch that. I think I posted it several times now. The Lesson, he pretty much destroys the bass, and he's most likely the fastest bass player ever lived. I think so, because he's got a style of the thumb. He never uses a pick, right? And he's using this finger to go to speed. But we're talking about ridiculous speed. Like, it's not fun anymore. It's just, yeah, it's like, and then when I first heard him, I was 17 years old, 16, 17. And I couldn't believe that was possible. He still changes his tuning during the song. It's like another thing. He's changing his tuning while playing, dude.
While playing?
Yeah, while playing. Yeah, it's a live show. So
holy shit.
He hold the bass like this. He used to like throw it out. Like he's an incredible showman. And he's just an old guy, but he doesn't care. He just holds it. He carries it and holds it back and changing the tuning and still playing. And he's got a really cool video called Universal Language, which is the music supposed to be, yeah. And he's playing for 8 minutes, dude. I think 8 or 9 minutes or something like that. And he's just constantly talking about how music is life. The notes are important, technique is important, but groove is everything. Follow your heart. When I heard him, it was like a psychology help. It was like, woo! It was like
he's like the Deepak Chopra of bass playing.
Huh?
He's like the Deepak Chopra of bass playing.
Well, exactly, yeah. But the thing is, this guy can play anything, like anything and everything ever existed. And I always want to see him live. Right before we went to tour in Oceans, he had a show in Houston at the same day when we fly out. So that was the closest that I was able to get, but I couldn't go. And it's sold out, which is 2 nights is sold out. And every now and then, like when I feel like I want to watch something, I just watch his videos because I have a bunch of his DVD. And in his bass lessons, he never talks about lesson. He just talks about the groove. He goes like this: technique, it's important. Notes, of course, it's important. But if you don't have the groove, you cannot follow the vibe. which is the entire thing about the bass. And then if you ever had a chance, there's a song called "My Name Is Victor," because that's his song, and that's like my wake up song. That ever like it's the most funky shit that you can hear. It's so fun. And then Victor Wooten, it's not like straight up metal, but I think he's got a metal project too now. Right? But these guys are very dangerous bass players. So like they can learn the song under a half an hour and then destroys the entire show. So when I like saw this kind of bass players, it changed my entire perspective of metal music, because I love metal, but I love music more than anything. Yeah. So uh, I'm a huge fan for indie rock, like a Placebo. Like I still worship that band. Muse, I love them so much. And then like Dredge, like, it's probably one of the best American band ever existed, and they're very underrated. So like when I saw that kind of bands, when I heard like what kind of bass lines they use, and then I'm finding Victor Wood and Willie Shane kind of quality people, and I understand how the groove is existed in the music style like that. And I said, okay, this makes sense now. These guys never show up, but they follow the groove. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers, most likely one of the most groove rocker like came out back in 90s, 2000s. And then we never really paid attention because the vocalist would keep saying, "I'm from California." You know? I mean, bass player is phenomenal in that band too, man. And then, so that's why Victor Wood, and I'm sure most of the bass players around the world, that's like the top of the top.
Yeah, I hear you in terms of like that, what you just said about learning a song quickly. I think the craziest story about that I've ever heard, I was talking to Valtteri from Paradise Lost, and he was asked to fill in with Amorphous at a live show. And he learned the whole set on a train ride from his house to the airport to fly to play a festival show with Amorphous. So I was like, how is that even possible? Like, how can you learn a complete set, listening to the song on the headphones and just like going like that on a on a train ride to the airport to fly to play a live show? I was blown away. I mean, to me, he's one of the most underrated drummers in metal. Like the guy is just phenomenal. He's now with
Alex.
Sorry.
He's playing with Alexa right now, no?
Yeah, with Bodom After Midnight. He's in the band Bodom After Midnight, and he's still with Paradise Lost. And I know he's filling with Wolfheart. Like he fills in sometimes with other bands when they need him. I think Bloodbath. He's also with Bloodbath. So I mean, to me, the guy is completely underrated and one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. One of the most down to earth guys you'll ever meet. We actually met him for the first time in Finland last year when we were there. We were going to the studios, what's called Sonic Pump Studios. We were going there to check. Yeah, we went there to check out we had a tour of the studios. And quick story, we went to a bar called the Beaver Bar, and there was a poster of Medusa, Paradise Lost poster on the wall. And my son was like, "Oh, Paradise Lost." And then Asim was like, "Oh, you're a big fan of Paradise Lost?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like huge fan of Paradise Lost." And he goes, "Okay, no problem." So he picks up the phone and he calls Valtteri. He's like, "Valtteri, are you in Helsinki?" And he's like, "Yeah." "All right, we're going tomorrow. We're going to be at Sonic Pump. You want to come in and meet the guys and whatever?" He goes, "Yeah, man, I'll be there." So he just showed up and, met us. We chatted, we talked, and we've been friends since. Like we've stayed in touch, and what a cool guy. That story about Amorphous, I was blown away. To learn a whole set during like, I don't know, a train ride. To me, it's incredible. You know what I mean? Normally you have like months to learn if you're filling in for somebody, or at least a couple of days or something. But a couple of hours as you're going on a train ride, to me, that's insane.
I mean, you're talking about Amorphous. Amorphous is most likely what started everything for many people. And what a band. They're like 30 years old now, 30, 35? I don't know anymore. Yeah. And then I've been in love with that band for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
When their style was different back in the day, I still loved it a lot. And then I heard that he's playing for Alexei, that new Bodom, and it blew my mind because I said, "Oh shit!" And I watched the live. They were playing Needless 24/7. Dude, he was really good, man. Like I saw Alexei like that. I don't know when was the last time. He's really good. He's really healthy. And then they said they just finished the album. I'm really excited, to be honest. I know most of the people doesn't want to pay attention, but I think it's gonna be really good because he looks really healthy now, Alexei, after all that health stuff. And then his members really into it. they really want to do it. That's the
Yeah,
main thing.
I agree with you. I'm really hyped, and the fact that they're with Napalm Records, for me it's
Okay.
good. Like I'll get to check it out before the release, so I can review it. So I'm really excited about that. But anyways, we're at the end. So Victor finishes #1 in your spot. He's #1 in your heart. By the way, have you ever met the guy? You haven't met the guy.
At the NAM, yeah.
Oh, you
I
did.
I shake this guy. Oh, dude, it's
Did
so
you do
cool.
one of those? I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Did you do one of those?
I just did it. I shake his hand. He's just a normal, humble guy, and it says, "How you doing, sir?" I tell him, "Man, like, why are you so nice? Why are you so nice right now?" And it was like, well, they Sheehan and Victor Wooten was so nice, best bass players in the world, and they were the nicest people ever, and it just blew my mind. And then there's another bass player that I wanted to add was right before we finished was the most likely one of the most underrated bass players still, Ryan from Mudvayne. And when I heard Mudvayne, I fell in love with the band the same day. And whatever he was doing with the bass doesn't sound like a bass to me still. So I heard interview, he's talking about making his bass sound like saxophone in Mudvayne songs. They made him so unique. And the guy is ridiculously perfect bass player. But Mudvayne was a so outside band. Everyone knew who they were. So people didn't pay attention as much, which they should have, because after Mudvayne broke up, I felt so bad, man, because I wanted to see Ryan like becoming huge and successful, and then he's probably top there with Evan Brewer and all those guys. But he's one of those like he's always gonna be hidden bass player. So that's another sad story.
Well, at least you got to mention him. I know you wanted to make sure. It was hard for you to put this 5 list together, but let's call it 5 plus.
5 plus, yeah.
5 plus. Well, Semir, thank you very much for your time today, man. This was a pleasure. It was an awesome time chatting with you about bass and about you and how you got started and all of this stuff. It was a real blast. Let's just hope that the next time we get to do this is going to be in person at an Oceans of Slumber show in Toronto or at a festival. At this point, I don't even care. Somewhere.
Dude, I really cannot wait. Hopefully next year this numbers go down for the COVID and we can actually start to go touring. Because after releasing this album and then we're seeing all those results, it's like yesterday, just last night I posted it. We got #7 on Metal Hammer. I'm still in shock. Like
I know. Now I feel bad that I give you guys such a shitty number on my list.
Oh, oh look at it. Metal Hammer calls you tomorrow. How dare you, man? And
I know I feel bad, but let's put it this way: you guys were the only prog band, if you will, on my list. So,
yeah,
so that says something. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not a big prog guy. I could count on one hand the prog bands that I can actually listen to and enjoy it, and you guys are one of those. So, and for me, the selling point was seeing Oceans of Slumber live, because the first time that I heard you guys was the song Winter. I think that was the first one that I heard, and I was like, oh man, I don't know, this is not for me. It's like slow, like there's nothing happening here. Like I don't know. At that time, this is what 2-3 years ago. At that time, I wanted stuff like in your face. Like, you know what I mean? I want somebody to grab you by the neck and scream in my face, you know? Yeah. So I was like, this is just like, it's all right, I guess, whatever. And then I went to see Insomnium, and Oceans of Slumber was one of the bands on the bill. And I was like, they could have picked somebody better. Like that was me going in. I was like, they could have picked somebody better. But, I always go and I always check out every band. Regardless if I like the band or not, I always check out every band. So the band comes on stage, and I was like, wow, this is really good. This is like every song I was like, wow, that was really good. That was even better than what I thought. That was really good. So I walked out like a huge fan of the band after seeing them live, because everything about the live performance got me really excited about the band. It was not just the songs, it was the vibe, the atmosphere that was created. You know what I mean? With the songs. So I was blown away. From that point on, I was like, okay, like, you can't judge a book by its cover. Sometimes maybe you're not in the right state of mind when you listen to a certain song, or you have like an idea that it's going to sound like this, and it sounds like something completely different, you know. So watching the band live changed my mind. And now this last album, Oceans of Slumber, I was blown. I mean, I was blown away with the singles. So it's not like I went in not kind of knowing what I was getting myself into, but because the singles, I really loved the singles. And when I went in, I was like, wow, like this album just, okay, this is what I want, like from a prog album. To me this year, like I said, I'm not a huge fan, but there were two albums. One did not make my list, and that was Black Crown Initiate. But their album was also magnificent. I thought their album was just outstanding record, top to bottom. Yeah. And once again, I'm not a huge fan. So for me, you have to really, you know, come out with your A game for me to gravitate towards a record with that kind of sound, with that kind of style. So, you know, kudos to you guys. The album is magnificent. So I'm sure you guys are dying to play it live and go on the road. So the moment this is over, I'm dying to see you guys, you know.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully I can remember the songs, man.
just put the volume down to 1. You know, like
it's been so long. It's been so long to play the songs. Hopefully I can remember.
I'm sure you guys will be fine. I'm sure you guys are going to get to practice and everything like that. So so you'll be fine. But once again, man, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. All the best for you and the guys in the band. And take care of yourself. Stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll see you guys hopefully in 2021.
Hopefully, man. Thank you so much. This was really fun.
All right, man. Take care. All right. Bye.
Bye.